Shalom Akim. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Makakadash. I'd like to proceed this lesson with giving double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who do well and teach well. I got a little quote right here, man, and I believe, I heard it from Amwan Gabar, but other brothers also have brought it out before, But this is a true saying, man, and it reads, it says, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. And it says, good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And you got to understand it, man. I'm going to read it again. It says, hard times create strong men. Hard times, create strong men, man. You got to persevere through things and endure through things that's meant to destroy you, man. You got to overcome that, man. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. You got to have a strong mental capacity to withstand things, man. And to be able to understand that, you got to be able to know when to have a good time and when it's time to get serious, man. You got to have a balance. It says strong men, I'm reading from the top again, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And good times all the time is gonna get you weak, man, because all you're worried about is this mirth and the folly of this world, man. Being intertwined with people of this world ain't gonna get you nowhere. It's gonna keep you in the same hole and loop, man. Talking for myself first and foremost, man, because I've had experiences with that, man. I've been there before, man. Read it again. Good times create weak men. Having too much good times, man, is gonna mess you up, man. And it reads, weak men create hard times. And if you're weak, you're not gonna be able to, create better times for yourself, man. Everything's gonna be too hard for you. It's gonna seem too hard to shake off, man. I'm gonna read it again. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. And we gotta understand that, man. That's a good quote, to look at and realize, man, this isn't the time to be weak, man. Hey, Jacob's trouble is about to go into full effect, man. The MOTB is about to be decreased soon, man. We're gonna have to be pilgrims upon this earth, man. And if you don't have the wisdom and knowledge, so you can have the stability of the times that we're gonna come into, Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6, then what are you gonna be doing, man? What type of mindset, what type of state of mind are you gonna be, man? You're gonna be all fucked up, man. You're gonna be like, man, I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing, man. You wanna be in that headspace of I did what I did for the Lord, man. I did what I had to do. You know what I mean? Okay, without talking too much of that, man, I'm gonna get into these scriptures, man. The book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 1, and it reads, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. You can't do this if you're always in the world, man. If you're always indulging in the wine, the alcohol, always going to the bars, going out, with these people that don't really have the best interest for you, man, in reality, man. Because if they're not in this truth, man, they don't have the best interest for you, point blank, period, man. The brotherhood is there for each other, man, to sharpen each other, man. Let me get that real quick. Let me see if it's in the NLT. Proverbs 27-17. Let me see if I can get it. Salakia. The GNT. No, let's see. Like to bear with me. Trying to get the one. No, it's all right, man. It's all right. I'll just read this one. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17 in the AMP, man. And it reads, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens and influences another through discussion. You know, and what's that? Through spiritual discussion, man. Breaking bread with the brothers, man. That's why the apostles and others say we should be, you know, showing charity to each other, man. If you live in the same city. You know? Here's the book of Proverbs chapter 9, verse 9 through 11. And it reads, give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. You know, we do that by ways of watching brothers on YouTube, man. And even learning from brothers in your own city, man. You know, there's always something we can learn off of each other, man. And be edified, man. You know, and certain, certain testimonies give us faith boosters, man. You know, be discussing, holy conversations, man. Verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. You know, if you fear the Lord, man, you should be wanting to get wisdom, you know, and to be able to understand these things, man. You know, yeah, that's the point for that one, man. Let's read Proverbs chapter 19, verse 20 through 21. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end. There are many devices in a man's heart, nevertheless the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that shall stand. You know, when we get in the NLT, man. Salakia, man, let's see. NLT right here. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 20 to 20. Salakia, Proverbs 19 and 20 through 21. Get all the advice and instruction you can, so you'll be wise the rest of your life. You can make many plans, but the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua's purpose will prevail, man. You know, what's the Lord's purpose, man? He's about to come back. You know, first he's gathering the lost sheep of Israel. You know, the elect. You know, men, women, and children. But ultimately, he's coming to, you know, destroy 2/3 of our people, man. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know, ultimately, y'all will be reborn through the loins of men in the kingdom. But, you know, you as a hopeful elect member, you should do the most you can, you know, making your calling and election sure, man. Not being in this world and, being in the wisdom of this world, man. This scripture talks about it. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High, for it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. You know, these people are, man, who got the best this and that. Shit, man, these people don't, you know, people are smart as fuck with, with sports and stuff, but, you know, they don't really have the understanding of what really matters, man. You know, let me get it right here. First Corinthians chapter 3:19 in the NLV, New Life Version, it reads, the wisdom of this world is foolish to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. The holy writings say he's the one who gets them in a trap when they use their own wisdom. See? You know, people like to gamble, drink too much, smoke, you know, worship these idols. You know, that's the wisdom of this world, man. That's not the wisdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. You know, to close down now, it's the book of Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6, and it reads, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Let me get into this translation real quick. Proverbs 3 and 5 through 6 in the GNT, and it reads, trust in the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Salakia. Trust in the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai with all your heart. Never rely on what you think you know. See? You know, don't be trying to be too, don't be trying to get too deep into things that you can't understand, man. You know, seek not things that are out of your understanding, man. Verse 6, remember the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai in everything you do, and he will show you the right way. Come on, man. You know, and that's why we got to be in tune with the brothers, you know, occupied in prophecies, and, you know, taking counsel, man. And another thing, man, you got to be able to take rebuke, man, because a lot of these people out here, you know, they can't take rebuke, man. You know, you gotta learn how to take rebuke, man, and see, oh man, what can I do to change this, man? You know, let's get that precept. Where's it at? You know, because if you're feminine, man, you can't be effeminate in this truth, man. Let me just get straight to the point. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8, reprove not a scorner lest he hate thee, rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. You feel me? Learn how to take rebuke, man. Talking to myself first and foremost, man. But with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the whole full elect. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash.